claim that it was not properly noticed? Is there?
Question. I don't know the answer.
Welcome, everybody, to the March 4th, 2024 regular Board of Aldermen meeting. Would everybody please join with me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka.
Here.
Alderwoman Tice. Here. Alderman Weggie.
Here.
Alderwoman Sims. Here. Alderman Lockmiller.
Here.
Alderman Gould.
Here.
Alderwoman Harder. Here. Alderman Erger.
Here.
All members present.
Great, thank you. Any changes or amendments to the agenda? Seeing any objection to approving the same by acclamation? Seeing no objections, that will be so approved. Thank you. Brings us down to the first substantive item, and that is the announcements, appointments, proclamations, and recognitions. We have one item on the agenda, and we've asked, or the Brentwood Library has asked to be here tonight to talk about an item that's going to be on the ballot in April. They've already presented a couple of times at the Coffee with the Mayor, and so without any further ado, Ed, Jenna.
Ed Wright Jr., I'm president of the Board of Trustees for the Brentwood Public Library. We're just real quick, under 4 minutes.
You can take longer.
We have renderings now, as you've seen in the lobby, you've seen maybe at the library, and we are passing out smaller versions so you can see that. They will also be in the next Pulse, in a couple pages of the Pulse for you to look at. We've been presenting to a lot of groups, different ward meetings. We really appreciate that. Of course, PTOs, mayor's coffee. We're presenting at the later in March too. So we're very excited about the momentum that's happening and what we've been able to do. And April 2nd is the vote, and one other event. Jenna's going to tell you about.
Yeah, we're going to have an open house, a public open house at the library on Sunday, March 24th. And that'll be from 1 to, that's a Sunday, I think I just said that. It's from 1 to 3 in the afternoon. We will have refreshments, but it's an opportunity for folks to come in, look at the drawings, ask us questions, and yeah, just and make it more of a public offering instead of just going to these meetings. Invite them into our house, so.
So are you looking for a new location?
Yes, the library is, we are looking to purchase property at 2201 South Brentwood Boulevard. And in order to do that, we have to go to the voters on April 2nd in order to ask for a tax levy increase. And that increase would purchase that property. We would oh my gosh, my brain. Renovate that property, and we would also build onto the property that's there currently.
So which property is that?
So that is where the Retina Institute is, and I think most people would not know that that's the Retina Institute, but they would know that it's a brand new parking lot that's right next to the Retina Institute. That is their, that is the location we're looking at. So we're looking at like a 70+ parking spaces in the new spot where we wouldn't need to compete with the other departments in the city like we do now. It would give us twice the square footage that we have. We have about 7,000 square feet, and this would give us, currently the building has 10,000 square feet. And then with an addition on to the south side, that would give us 15,000 square feet.
And how much revenue does the library receive from the city?
No revenue from the city. All of our revenue comes from the taxpayers in the form of property tax and commercial property tax. So,
hence the reason you need to go out and ask for the
yeah, we have
bond
to ask
issue.
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Thank you very much.
You had a chance tonight. I was down there, and there was
Yeah, we had this was our first ever sensory story time. I don't know if you've heard of that. The Miriam Institute folks came
wow.
over and they facilitated it for us. So this first time, and it looks like we had a good turnout. So yeah, we're hoping to replicate more events like that in a larger space, so it's
did
more
you-
comfortable for everybody.
And did you say there's some way to find out what the increase would be for each homeowner?
Yeah, if you go to the library's website and look at Prop L, we have a link to, there's a link to a property tax calculator where you can put in what you believe your house is what your house is assessed at, like not the market value, but the assessed value of your home, and it will show you exactly how much it's going to cost, and that's in addition to what you're paying.
Any questions? All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
No, you're good. You did great.
All right, that brings us down to a public hearing, and we have a public hearing on the ordinance amending ordinance 4810 and 4602 of the conditional use permit and site development plan for Chick-fil-A restaurant located at 8590 Eager Road within the Deerberg's Brentwood Point Shopping Center. So with that, I will gavel open the public hearing.
Good evening, Whitney Kelly on behalf of the City of Brentwood. The Chick-fil-A is looking to modify their drive-through lanes, and they were shifting some of the parking to share with the rest of the center. The Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval by a vote of 8-0. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Any questions in the public?
When would they start? They hope to start as soon as possible. They still have to get the permits in, but with the weather warming up and construction, they would like to get started this spring, summer.
And is this decision to do this, is it being driven by the fact that they need to manage some of the traffic patterns along?
But it's really to solidify, during the COVID, their drive-through function, they're still operating a lot of that was temporary and blocking off some of the parking spaces. So this is kind of really to solidify how they're operating now.
Okay.
And adding 2 entrances into the drive-through lane and extending it further inward, so.
Whitney, are they making up the lack of parking on their site with Brentwood Point
Yes.
Promenade, rather?
Yes, they do have a shared parking agreement, and the property management of that whole is an agreement to having them share within that, but the whole site does meet with all of the parking requirements. And that was reviewed by our consultant, traffic engineer, CBB, and he recommended approval. Yeah.
Okay, well, that was sort of my question with CBB, but the drawing that they had in there with the blue lines and all the red lines and the one blue line was like boggled my mind. This lay-by lane that's like the waiting lane, is that going to fit in at the end, or how is that?
That was not included as part of this because of those lines. And that was the main concern that he had, was the addition of that lay-by lane. So the applicant agreed to revise the drawings, and that's what is being in the packet now, that it does not include that lay-by lane. Yeah.
Right, thank you.
They may come back at a later date to figure something else out, but that created too much of a concern for the traffic engineer. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you for clarifying that.
With this request of sharing the parking over in the other part of Brentwood Point, is a call out for the installation of any type of pedestrian walkways?
Not anything that's above what is currently now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anybody in the public? Have anybody online? I'm assuming no?
Oh.
Yeah, go right ahead, Whitney.
I'll just add one more thing. It does shorten, the proposal does shorten a little bit the patio area to widen the entrances, so it makes it easier for people to back in and out of the parking spaces in front of the building without disrupting the flow of traffic into the drive-through lane. So.
Nobody else? Then we will close the public hearing for that item and move down to citizen comments. Now is the time for anybody in the public who cares to address the board. Feel free to do so. We just ask that you come to the podium, state your name and your address. Nobody. Okay, we'll move on to mayor and alderman reports. The first up is, I really don't have a report, but I do want to take the opportunity to thank all the city employees who signed my, the birthday card for me. I'm sure you all did that without any type of threat, and you did that of your free will to sign that. I appreciate that. And I'd like to take this opportunity to wish our chief happy birthday, Chief Spees, for March the 7th. Alderman Plufka.
No report.
Alderwoman Tice.
Oh, I have a report, but first, happy birthday, Chief Spees. The Ward 1 will have a ward meeting next Tuesday, March 12th at 6:30 p.m. at the Community Center, so please join us.
Alderman Weggie.
Happy birthday to everybody there. No report.
Alderwoman Sims.
Happy birthday. And the March Ways and Means Committee meeting will be this Thursday, March 7th at 5:30 here.
Alderman Luckmuller.
Birthday, Chief, and no report.
Alderman Gould.
Guess I have to say happy birthday as well to everybody. We will have our Ward 3 meeting at the end of this month, March 26th at 6:30 at the Rec Center. I'll remind you again next week, or next meeting.
Alderwoman Harder.
Okay, happy birthday. And I want to give a great big shout out to Dan. Thank you very much. We have the lights in Brentwood Forest was put up. I got quite a few texts today at work from people that saw it being put up, and they were very happy. So thank you very much.
And Alderman Erger.
Happy birthday, Chief and Mayor. No report.
Thank you. Brings us down to the city administrator report. We have two items. First up is the Brentwood Bound update.
Good evening, Craig Schroeder with Navigate Building Solutions. I'll be providing the Brentwood Bound update. Starting with construction costs, $301,150 was spent picking up the last Board of Alderman meeting, and this Board of Alderman meetings warrantless. Next is soft costs, $78,848.46 was spent on project management, design, IT, material testing, and legal fees. And then going down to categories of funding, the city received a check in the amount of $97,310.82 as it relates to the MoDOT Brentwood cost share for the GRG Connector Part B project. And that's it.
Any questions? Yes.
Craig, can you give us an update on the walkway with the bricks and the bathrooms in the event building in anticipation of the April 6th opening? Or
Sure.
somebody?
So the walkway with the bricks, I was told that they were repaired today.
Oh.
They just showed up and did it without any notice. So I haven't gone out there and checked it out. One of my employees was walking through it and said, "Oh, they just got done today." So we've been asking for weeks for an update, and it just happened. So that we have to go out there and verify it and check it out. But I got that text at like 4:30 today. The bathrooms, that's something that's in progress. I don't have an actual completion date on that.
Eric might.
Looking to Eric for that one. Oh, don't bring up the chair.
And I'm done. So the bathrooms, we're waiting on parts to come in. So we did have a pipe burst, and so a couple of things in the bathroom. So we were told hopefully by the end of this week we'll get a few of those parts in, and then the following week. So we're expecting those to be in pretty quickly.
Okay, any concern of that not being ready by playground
No.
opening? Okay.
No.
Great. Thank you.
Alderman Plufka.
With regard to the connector Part B for the GRG, I'm assuming that that's the connection at the southern end.
Correct.
And those two payments that are expected, those reimbursements will come at the completion of those, the 410 and the 575?
Oh, the 410's Muni grant? Yes.
I'm sorry, Muni Grant.
Yeah, so that will come at the completion of that GRG Connector Part B project.
Okay.
And then the other one was which one?
GRG reimbursement for connector Part B, it's about halfway down the column. It says it's 575, but
correct.
it hasn't been received
So
yet.
that is the Great Rivers Greenway Partnership component, and that will get paid after the bridge gets updated. The bridge that goes over Deer Creek, that's close to Marshall
yeah.
Road.
Yeah.
So that work's in progress right now. So we'll start getting reimbursements from Great Rivers Greenway every month as we submit pay apps. So the first one will probably come in a month or two, and we'll get a few chunks of that. But by end of summer, that should all be paid out.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Got one question that relates to the bricks that were done in the tunnel area.
Yes.
The walls of the tunnel are pretty dusty, and I don't know if it was because of, if they were cutting bricks in there. Is that something that they're going to sort of clean up now that they're completed with this project, or is that something that is on our Parks Department to kind of keep the walls a little bit cleaner? It seems like there's a lot of dust on them. I don't know if it's from the bricks.
Yeah, I don't know the origination of the dust. I would say it's probably unlikely that MoDOT and their contractor would clean it up, especially in the time frame that you guys want it. So unfortunately, I would probably assume that it's going to fall back in the Parks Department, especially to get it done by the playground grand opening.
Okay, all right. That's what I thought.
Anyone else? Any other questions for Craig? Okay, great. Thank you very much,
Thank
Craig. Next up under the City Administrator Report is the Brentwood Bound Curb, Eck, and Breckel fourth quarter audit presentation.
This is a quick one. There are no exceptions, so
saw
they asked
that.
staff to present it.
Yeah, congratulations. I saw no exceptions. That's fantastic. We have any questions about the report? Okay, we'll move on down to the consent agenda. We have a number of items. Do we have any requests to remove any of those items or any questions about any of the items? Yes, Alderwoman Tice.
So I have a question. I don't want to remove it, but the fire department tracking code compliance.
Which letter is that?
D.
D, okay.
So I know I meant to go back and watch the Public Safety Committee, and then could someone from the Public Safety Committee or Chief, could you just give us like a 30-second explanation of why this isn't costing us anything and where the money comes from? Like
Absolutely.
how this company gets their money?
Absolutely, thank you. So the Brycer Group, they are a national company for compliance for fire protection systems, alarms, all the things that fire department codes, the city code as well, requires occupants and building owners to have on file with us every year. So their agreement, there's no charge to the municipalities because they charge the vendors to upload the reports to their system. And then that is then shared with us. And so the practice is already in place throughout the region, especially with having national vendors in St. Louis. They're already charging this fee is their belief. So then they just upload it to their systems. I hope that answered your question.
Who are the vendors? Are the vendors actually the companies who
So they'll perform a sprinkler inspection, and they'll perform an annual inspection on their fire alarm control panels, their smoke detectors, and then those reports are then uploaded into the system.
Okay, so is there any additional cost to the business owners who, like, with this extra company, is there some sort of layering of cost?
Potentially, yes. That cost may already be assessed in their fees. That could be an additional assessment to have that test.
We have a sense of what that is, and then was it just one other fellow municipality? I'm just curious what this does to our fees relative to our neighbors.
Sure. So there is no fee from Brentwood for
Right,
this.
but the fee to the business owners.
Correct.
Or the just business owners.
Yeah,
building
your
owners.
occupants and your property owners, sure. So they are rapidly expanding. Kirkwood, Hazelwood are on board, as well as others, Blackjack Fire District in St. Louis County, and he has proposals to other municipalities. Kirkwood has been the longest in St. Louis County. Frankly, the negative that they said were city-owned properties.
Okay. But they have they gotten complaints from business owners in Kirkwood
not.
about the fees? Okay.
They have not.
Okay, thank you.
There was some miscommunication on city-owned properties because we have to comply as well, as I do with the fire station. So that will be part of our process.
Alderman Plufka.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a comment with regard to letter H within the consent agenda, and I want to thank the Ways and Means Committee for their diligence in putting together and just going through all of the different proposals that came in, and I'm looking forward to working with PayPoint to find out just exactly where we are and what we can do with regard to our compensation. So thank you.
Any other questions about any of the items on the consent agenda? Any requests to remove any of them? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller? Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderwoman Harder?
Yes.
Alderman Erger?
Yes.
Motion carries by a vote of 8 to 0.
Great. That moves us down to old business, of which we have none, and so we'll drop down to new business. First up is Bill number 6486. Can we get a first read by title only, please?
Bill number 6486, first reading, an ordinance to temporarily suspend enforcement of sections 220.010B10 and 500.830B4 of the Brentwood City Code relating to high grass and weeds above 7 inches to promote low-mow April in support of pollinators and wildlife habitat.
Great, thank you. Whitney, are you presenting on this? Okay.
So this came out of the Sustainability Commission. We will be promoting low mow April in that you don't have to mow as frequently, or promoting the idea of not mowing as frequently. And thereby we will be suspending high grass and weeds code enforcement for the month of April.
Okay, any questions? I imagine because of the timing of this, we're in March, that's why you're asking for a first and second read tonight?
Yes, it was originally on the February 20th agenda, which got canceled. So in order to get the word out, we would like a first and second reading.
Okay, can we get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of a second read, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Mr. City Attorney, can we get a second read by title only, please?
Bill number 6486, second reading and consideration for adoption, an ordinance to temporarily suspend enforcement of sections 220.010B10 and 500.830B4 of the Brentwood City Code relating to high grass and weeds above 7 inches to promote low-mow April in support of pollinators and wildlife habitat.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to perfect.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller? Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderwoman Harder? Alderman Erger?
Yes.
By a vote of 8 to 0, Bill 6486 will become ordinance number 5114.
Thank you. Next up is Bill number 6487. Can we get a first read by title only, please?
Bill number 6487, first reading, an ordinance amending ordinance number 4810 and 4602 for the conditional use permit and site development plan for Chick-fil-A restaurant located at 8590 Eager Road within the Deerberg's Brentwood Point Shopping Center.
Thank you. Whitney's already, I think, presented on this, but if we have any questions, feel free to fire away. If not, we will just wait till the next meeting for the second read. Okay, thank you. Brings us down to Bill number 6488. Can we get a first read by title only, please?
Bill number 6488, first reading, an ordinance amending section 125.230 of the Brentwood City Code relating to failure to appear in municipal court.
Thank you. I don't see anyone from the court here.
I noticed that she's missing in action as well.
Okay.
This is a housekeeping item. Apparently, state statute was changed, and the court monitor paid, the Missouri Supreme Court monitor paid staff a visit and asked us to amend Chapter 125 to be in compliance with state statute, that no additional charge shall be issued for failure to appear for a minor traffic violation.
Okay. Alderman Plufka?
Is there any requirement that we split up the readings here? Or can somebody make a motion at this stage for a second reading? Okay.
Certainly can. Make a motion for a second reading.
All right, I don't want to do it in case somebody has questions at this point.
Okay. Do we have any other questions about Bill number 6488? If not, I think someone would like to make a motion for a second read.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we have a second reading of this bill tonight.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that motion? If not, all in favor of a second read, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, can we get a second read of Bill number 6488 by title only, please?
Bill number 6488, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance amending section 125.230 of the Brentwood City Code relating to the failure to appear in municipal court.
Thank you. Can we get a motion to perfect Bill number 6488?
Your Honor, I move to perfect 6488 into ordinance form.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderwoman Harder?
Yes.
Alderman Erger?
Yes.
By a vote of 8 to 0, Bill 6488 will become ordinance 5115.
Thank you. Brings us down to Bill number 6489. Can we get a first read by title only, please?
Bill number 6489, first reading, excuse me. An ordinance amending Article 6 of Chapter 215 of the Brentwood City Code relating to firearms.
Thank you. This is per my request. If you've had a chance to read the background information, there's a quote. I don't believe that's my quote. I don't know who it's attributable to. But in any event, I think I shared this with you all beforehand. I don't recall if I did or not. But the concern that I had a few weeks ago, councilperson Shalonda Webb with the St. Louis County Council, who's also the chair of St. Louis County Council, had filed a request for legislation that would arguably take under the umbrella of all of St. Louis County the running of the municipal police departments. And when that came out, to say that struck the fear in the hearts of the elected officials throughout St. Louis County of all the municipalities would be an understatement. It got the attention of the mayors in the of all the folks that are at the municipal league, and what we found out from talking, I did have a meeting with her, along with the mayor of Clayton and the mayor of Florissant, and what she told us, and so I heard this directly from her. What she was concerned about was the lack of uniformity across the board in St. Louis County of regulations that would prohibit minors in possessions of guns. And I think you already know, because we've talked about this, I think, at the last year, it is not illegal for minors to possess guns openly. And we've seen stories and we've seen videos of minors carrying AR-15s or other type of assault weapons or whatever the AR stands for in the city of St. Louis. And the inability of police officers to address that, because it is not illegal for them just to be openly carrying this. And while we don't have that problem that I'm aware of in Brentwood, the chair of St. Louis County, they passed it at the county level, as did the city of St. Louis, and she wants to see, again, all the municipalities pass something similar to what the county had passed. And so I reached out to our city attorney, Mr. O'Keefe, and asked him if he could draft something. I believe the city of Clayton has already passed something to that effect. Yes. And our city attorney knows that because he's the attorney for Clayton as well. And I know from talking with the mayor of Florissant that they're in the process of doing so, as are a lot of the other municipalities. And the hope, again, is that this will appease the chair of the St. Louis County Council, and she will stop any effort to try and bring the municipal police departments under the control of St. Louis County. So that was the motivation in me bringing this to the board and asking for you to consider passing this. And tonight, as simply as I first read, I understand that there are legitimate concerns about passing something to this effect, to the extent that it does impinge on the Second Amendment. But again, I'm asking this for your consideration. So that's what this is all about. So if you have any questions, Again, tonight's just a first read, but if you have questions, specifically legal questions, I'd like for you to ask them so that our city attorney has a chance to either address them tonight or an opportunity to research those questions and come back to you in a couple of weeks with answers. Alderman Lockmuller.
I'll start with the first page. The whereases, I'm not accustomed to seeing a lot of tone in the whereases towards another governing body. My question is, why?
I wrote them, and I wrote them because several clients of ours are disturbed by the fact that the state chooses not to allow local governments to adopt effective regulations so critical to public safety, and has determined that cities are bereft of authority to protect their residents and inhabitants from the proliferation of gun violence and the presence and use of guns in dangerous circumstances. And so it expresses that frustration. It can absolutely be redrafted. It can be removed. It is surplusage to the bill, providing context.
My concern is just that, when we have to call on these people, and I have great respect for anyone that wants to serve at state level, to then have this type of verbiage in there, I just think, I can understand the frustration, and I'm not taking a side on the issue, but I'm just, as a matter of respect to a higher governing body and somebody that we may need to call on at some time for some help, I mean, is it just kind of an over?
I understand. I exercised my proclivity to purple language, but purple prose proclivity, I suppose.
And then I guess as you get down into the whereas as far as, I'm just wondering if, when you talk about terror and the impact on the city of Brentwood, I'm just kind of wondering if that's not setting a tone like we have a problem. And it kind of broadcasts, well, we need to do this because we have. And once again, I want to make sure that we're not having juveniles running amok with handguns, but I'm not sure we have that problem here, and I don't want to make it sound like we do.
Yeah, I would just note that it is prohibiting other elected governments from trying to stem the tide. It doesn't say Brentwood has a tide in Brentwood, but we can absolutely modify it. I would say that the first paragraph is not my creation. That's the statute.
Yeah, I just think when you get down to the second and third, I'm uncomfortable with the tone. Now, maybe, if I need to.
You can make a motion to I guess.
I'd be happy. Well, I don't think a motion is
Okay.
necessary. I'd be happy to draft something for your consideration to offer as an amendment next time.
Thank you.
You had other questions, or is that it?
I'll let anybody else
Okay.
go.
Was there somebody over here? Yeah. Alderman Sims.
I have this frustration with our General Assembly. So, I mean, if they were going to amend this language, I mean, I do think that state law is problematic, and that they have hamstrung us in our ability to regulate this kind of activity that could happen at Brentwood Days. So, I mean, I'd want to know any kind of proposed changes. I'd pass this law. I think they'll stand by it. So I'm not concerned that they'll be discouraged in dealing with us. I mean, I'm inclined to call a spade a spade.
Okay. Alderman Lockmuller.
Well, I can agree with that, but I just think maybe in the form of a resolution that can be transmitted, but not on a bill that's going to become one of our city ordinances.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we give our city attorney an opportunity to try and redraft that and see if he can cut something that will appease both views on this?
I'll rein myself in.
Anybody have other questions? Again, this is just a first read on this thing tonight.
I would add that in addition to the open carry provisions, we've also updated the language in the city's code to reflect changes in state nomenclature generally, in state law that have been enacted since the city last looked at this regulation. So it's a general cleanup and conformity as well. I'm sorry, excuse me, sir.
No worries. I mean, you brought up the ask legal questions, and maybe it's my background. I don't know what legal questions to ask or what, should be explored or kicking the tires to make sure that we're covered. But what are the legal risks of are there governing bodies that somebody, if, for example, we did stop someone and asked them and they said, yeah, I have a license for this. Maybe they didn't have it on them, whatever. Are there any legal risks that the city could then be taken to a higher court, for lack of a better term?
Well, anybody with a filing fee can sue anybody.
Oh,
but,
sure.
The regulations proposed here are within the city's authority to enact under state law. They are also not inconsistent with federal law.
Okay.
So it is intended to provide enforcement authorities in the city extra tools to deal with problems that may arise, to the extent that the city can have arrows in its quiver to deal with those problems. It's intended to put them there.
Got it.
My understanding is that the belief is that there is a loophole in the state statute, which is what permits this type of an ordinance. That's not directly in conflict with the state statute. Now, I may be completely wrong on that, but that's my understanding.
Having already reasonably been called on my choice of words, I wouldn't call it a loophole. There are provisions in state law that authorize the city to enact each of the regulations here.
There we go. Alderman, oh, I'm sorry, was there somebody down? Oh, you had one, okay. Sure, ask away, ask anybody.
I guess given this power, what occasion would you have to use it, or how would this go about?
Well, luckily, to Mr. O'Keefe's point, we're not challenged with this as much as the city of St. Louis, for example. They have a real problem with this. There are a couple examples that you could think that potentially that would work for us. Protests would be an example of this. We're heading directly into a presidential election here that's going to cause all kinds of problems. I don't think Brentwood's going to be exempt from that. So you could see a scenario, depending on who wins that election, where there could be unrest, and we could be included in that, and this could be applicable to that. This law could help us in that regard. Somebody mentioned, I don't remember who it was, Brentwood Days. Could somebody walk in with a Mini 14 strapped over their chest and be illegal? We can keep them out of the parade grounds, but policing them outside of that is a challenge as well, and that would help us with that hasn't happened. And I think you have a valid point. We don't want to portray Brentwood as being stuck in the middle of this type of violence or potential violence. Could it happen? Sure, it could.
So if somebody shows up, if they've got it holstered, that's considered open carry.
Yes.
Slung over their arm.
Right.
If you think they're under the age of 18, you can then, with this law, go and approach them and say, where's your concealed carry, to be able to do that, correct?
In theory, yes. Yeah. And that becomes an issue as well. I mean, it's the whole concealed carry piece. I'll save my opinions on Missouri state law on it as well, but to get a permit and be able to do things that I think would be normal course of business aren't nearly necessary in today's world here.
So you find out the kid's under 18, can't get a concealed carry permit if you're under 18. What do you do next?
Well, if he's not brandishing the weapon, if he's not open carrying the weapon, probably I'd have to look at it to be sure, but I think we would probably take the gun and call the parents. Probably not take the kid into custody, but return the gun to the parents probably in that scenario. I think would be a logical thing to do there.
Anybody else? Okay. If not, we will save that till 2 weeks from tonight. Brings us down to the last item under new business, and that's Bill number 6490. Can we get a first read by title only, please?
Bill number 6490, first reading, an ordinance approving a First Amendment to the Intergovernmental Agreement for Fire Training Commission to authorize the city of Maplewood to join the agreement and commission, and ratification of amendments to the bylaws of the commission to effectuate Maplewood's membership.
Thank you. Chief?
Very excited to bring this forward tonight. We've worked very hard to reach this milestone, and the city of Maplewood did approach the Fire Training Commission seeking to enter into that consortium. So if this is approved, it, number one, amends the ordinance, amends the IGA, and it also amends the bylaws, which was required in the original agreement.
Have any questions? And is there an urgency? I see that there's a request for a second read tonight.
I'm not aware of urgency.
Okay.
Of note, the city of Clayton did approve this at their meeting last week, and it is on Richmond Heights' agenda tonight.
I believe Maplewood has already addressed it, and that steps are being taken to move forward with the capital project.
So they're all waiting on us. Okay.
So the question is, according to the bylaws, each member city needs to vote in favor of this, correct, in order for it to actually go forward. So is that maybe why it needs to?
That is, agree, that is the first step, yes.
Those changes to the bylaws were made at Brentwood's request when this was originally going through, and none of the requests that you all made with respect to governance, operations of the commission, or the bylaws are changed by either of these amendments. They merely add Maplewood as an equal member.
Any other questions? So you may care to make a motion?
I make a motion for a second read.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second for a second read. Any discussion on that? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, can we get a second read by title only, please?
Bill number 6490, second reading and consideration for adoption, an ordinance approving a First Amendment to the Intergovernmental Agreement for Fire Training Commission to authorize the city of Maplewood to join the agreement and commission, and ratification of amendments to the bylaws of the commission to effectuate Maplewood's membership.
Thank you. A chair would entertain a motion to perfect. Alderman
Move to
Plufko.
perfect 6490 into ordinance form.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yes.
So this came up under public safety, and just to give everybody a short synopsis of how we got to where we are. What this does, if I'm understanding what the chief had said and what the assistant chief had said at the committee meeting, was that it just simply spreads out costs that were already fixed. And so, if anything, it's going to reduce our liability for this training center. The only downside that we could conceive of was this idea that we have enough partners that suddenly it becomes an issue about getting good training times for our own officers, but we were assured by the leadership in the fire department that that's not the case when we're moving from adding just this one. You know, if we were adding 7 or 8, that might be an issue, but not with just the addition of Maplewood. So, thank you. Yep.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderwoman Harder?
Yes.
Alderman Erger?
Yes.
By a vote of 8-0, Bill 6490 will become ordinance number 5116.
Thank you. Brings us down to item 12, which is citizen comments. Again, if anybody in the public cares to address the board, now is the time to do so. You will be given up to 3 minutes. We just ask you to come to the podium, state your name and address.
Nobody online.
Right. We do have a request. I have a request to go into closed session following this meeting pursuant to RSMO 610.021 subsection 2 and 1. That's real estate and legal. Can I get a motion to that effect?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderwoman Harder?
Yes.
Alderman Erger?
Yes.
Motion carries by a vote of 8-0.
Great. Thank you. Seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned.